Okay, so here we've got a question. Here it says the table shows some data on two tissues in a patient. Tissue X has density ρ and acoustic impedance of 1.5 Z. Tissue Y has a density of 1.3 times ρ and the acoustic impedance is Z. The ultrasound in tissue X is incident at the boundary between the tissues X and Y. So here you've got ultrasound coming from the left in material X and it's going to material Y and there's a boundary there. What is the percentage of the ultrasound intensity reflected at the boundary? So here you've got A equals 1.7%, B 4%, C 13%, and D as 20%. And what is your answer? Okay, so how do we do this question? All right, so if we look back at that question, I mean, you can just go back. Now, it's asking you for the percentage of ultrasound intensity reflected at the boundary. Now, you're given the equation. I reflected, that is the intensity reflected divided by the original intensity. So that's the one that's going into the boundary. So if it's going into the boundary, that is the original intensity. And because some of it gets transmitted, some of it gets reflected, that is IR. Now, the equation is IR is equal to, IR over R, I naught is equal to Z1 minus Z2 squared and Z1 plus Z2 squared. Okay. Now, Z is the acoustic impedance. And in the question, you're given that Z1, which is material X, and that is 1.5 Z, 1.5 Z. And the second material, which is the material Y, is just Z. So you just substitute that in. So IR is equal to, you know that Z1 is equal to 1.5 Z, 1.5 Z, minus, Z2 is just Z, so that's Z, and that is all squared, divided by, and then you just add them up. Here you have 1.5 Z plus Z all squared. Now, when you expand that, you're going to get Z squared. When you expand that, you get Z squared. So the Z squared will just cancel. So I'm just going to take that and rub that out. So that is 1. I'm going to rub that out, and that is equal to 1. Right, so the top bit is, now if you just expand the brackets, that's 0.5 squared. So that's 0.5 times 0.5. And the bottom here, 1.5 plus 1 is 2.5. And 2.5 you're squaring it, so that's 2.5 times 2.5. Now, if rather than just calculating this, that is a fifth, because 5 times 0.5 is 2.5. So you end up with 1 over 5 times 1 over 5, and 5 times 5 is 25 at the bottom, and that is 4%. And so therefore your answer is B, because B is 4%.